Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. So we already did the unboxing, the first impressions. We've got a short glimpse at this brand new device, the TCL 10 Pro, but we're here today to do the full review of the TCL 10 Pro. So sit back and let's dive in and take a look at what it has to offer. So the TCL 10 Pro comes around at $449. It's GSM unlocked. It's got 4 cameras on the back of the phone, which is pretty sweet, and it's running the Snapdragon 675 processor, 6 gigabytes of RAM, 4500 milliamp battery, and 128 gigabytes of onboard storage for all of your storage needs. Got a 6.5-inch effective OLED panel with 1080p and HDR10 and running Android 10 as well. Plus, it supports HDR10 with Netflix, which is really cool. And on top of that, you've got a 64 megapixel primary camera with a 16 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel macro camera so you can get your up close shots, and then a 2 megapixel depth sensor so you can get some really fantastic bokeh effect portrait shots with this camera, which is really uncanny for $449. But at first glance, it looks really fantastic. And let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the phone and see what it has to offer. And here we are with the TCL 10 Pro. Pretty exciting stuff, huh? I've actually been really interested in this phone ever since I got to see it at the TCL announcement at CES in Las Vegas back in January. So back then I didn't know when it was going to come out, but now here we are. It's May the 14th, which is the day that we can release all this stuff. But on the 19th is when it's going to be available for you to buy for $449. Now, I'm not a salesman. I'm just letting you know that's how much it's going to cost. And I actually happen to think it's worth it. So some of the key information you need to know about, even though we already covered this a few minutes ago in the intro: 6.47-inch AMOLED display, 6 gigabytes of RAM. It's got Android 10. They promise it's going to have at least Android 11, maybe more, but they're committed to Android 11. OTG charging. You can charge another phone with this tremendous 4500 milliamp battery, which is really, really good for a phone with this processor this size. I have not been able to kill this battery in one day. I actually was running a test the day before this, just letting it run video all day so I could see how long that it would last. And you're gonna get at least 6-7 hours of screen on time out of this thing. It's really, really impressive. So leading off with this 4-camera array, on first base we have the 64 megapixel primary shooter, a 16 megapixel wide angle camera lens so you can get wide angle shots. Then you've got the 5 megapixel for macro lens photography, which is something that I love, taking pictures of things up close and personal, bugs, water droplets after it's rained, all these little features that you normally miss out on when you have to zoom in with your phone or get up close. And then the 2 megapixel depth sensor so you can take really good really good portrait shots. The portrait shots on this are fantastic. I went out and I took quite a few of them. And one thing that I really love about the camera is the way that the pictures look. They are sharp. It's got a nice bokeh effect, easy to use, no crazy shenanigans or anything. And it just looks nice and smooth. You've got a nice buttery smooth bokeh effect. And then it makes the pictures kind of stand out. But one thing I do want to say about this though is the color saturation is really nice. It's a little on the oversaturated side. This thing loves green and blue colors. They just pop. They look really good. It's not quite Samsung color saturation, but it's not, over on the more natural department like you get with an iPhone or an LG camera, but it looks really good. And it's not super oversaturated, but you can tell that, there's a little bit of electronic influence going on right there, but looks good. You've got this nice ember gray color on here as well. There's a green color that's going to come out later. It's not available right now, but you'll see it and whenever it comes out later. It's really, really something else. But the phone itself, it's got like this nice gradient. I don't know if they call this ombre effect or what, but it's like a flat gray, but you can see that it's got a shine to it, and it just kind of changes as the light hits it. It's really, really nice. It's smooth. It's actually pretty sleek. The sides are not too bad though. I'm not overly concerned about dropping it, but if you set this on your hand or a flat surface, you might want to have to worry about it sliding around a little bit. So definitely include the case that, ta-da, conveniently comes with it. Now, when I'm talking about the case, it is important to mention there's not really any aftermarket accessories for it. So you've got this, and you might want to invest in some liquid glass screen protector, which it does help. I've used it before on other phones that are kind of short in the accessory department. But overall, that's only one of the small complaints that I have about the phone. You got facial recognition, you got the fingerprint unlocker on it. Now the fingerprint sensor, it's the infrared style, kind of like OnePlus likes to use. This one's not as refined and as polished and as quick as what I have found on like the OnePlus or some of the lesser expensive Samsung devices. It does work. It's fairly accurate. It is a little on the slower side, but it's there. Maybe it'll get better. I do want to say this is a pre-release software that I'm using, and they're expecting, shortly after the device releases to have a full software update with some more things that, might fine-tune that and make it a little bit better. So I don't want to really ding that. The facial recognition is pretty cool. It's not true facial scanning like with the Face ID that you get on the iPhone, but it is nice. It's quick. It's pretty accurate. I haven't really had any problems with it. The screen is super sensitive whenever you go to touch it. It's not something that you're going to have to worry about not working when you press it. I have found it to be a little on the sensitive side. So when your finger gets super, super close, you might get some ghost touches, especially around the edges with the curved display. It reminds me a lot of the OnePlus 7 Pro, and that's very complimentary whenever it comes to form factor and it comes to what's going on. It looks nice. It's got a nice vibrant screen. The only thing I've noticed with the screen is as you kind of turn the angle or you get to an angle with it, it loses a little bit of the brightness. It gets maybe like a little shadow on the screen. And it's not that you can't see it. It's just whenever you have a more direct viewing angle, it's much brighter. But as you kind of tilt it away on axis, you can see a little bit. So that's totally fine though, because it's not like you're gonna be using the phone from that angle. Anyway, one cool thing about the Bluetooth in here, it's actually capable of connecting to 4 different devices at the same time. So if you're sitting around with your buddies, you've got this sweet new song on your phone you want everyone to listen to with their sweet headphones, if you ever find yourself in that sort of situation, or if you want to connect it to 4 Bluetooth speakers at the same time, that's really cool. I've seen phones that can do 2 before. I don't ever remember being advertised as connecting them to 4. So you can actually connect 4 simultaneous devices to siphon off and listen to the same thing at the same time, which is really cool. But you still get the headphone jack on top. All right, so one other thing I want to talk about is the sound experience on here. If you're an audiophile, you're gonna like this because you've got LDAC support, you've got HD aptX, you've got regular aptX and AAC. All the codecs you need for the best transmission with the lowest latency on your Bluetooth 5.0 connection to your headphones, and then of course over the wired connection as well. Totally good. Now I do want to demonstrate the sound because it does have pretty good speakers. Well, it has a good speaker. It only has one. That's a downward firing speaker down here on the bottom. I'll go ahead and fire up this copyright-free music real quick, just so you can hear what it sounds like. I've got my condenser mic. We'll hit play. So it gets pretty darn loud for one speaker. And that's at 100% volume. We'll turn it down to 50%. And there, just a quick sound test because sometimes people want to hear what the sound experience is actually like on the phone. So one of the cool things about this phone is the smart key over here on the side. Mentioned it briefly earlier and in the unboxing and first impressions. You can program it for 3 different settings: short press, a double press, and a long press. You can pretty much set it to whatever you want. So it's nice. I have mine set up 1 press for Google Assistant, 2 presses to go to the camera, and then the long press. I haven't set that one just because I'm not a big fan of the long press, but you can set it up for that too. So that's a really nice smart feature that goes along with this phone. And there's one other cool thing with the phone for the edge lighting. When you get a notification, you can have it on where it lights up around the edge of the screen, and you can see that here. It looks really cool, and I like having that on the phone. I think that it's pretty neat. It's flashy. It flashes and it's flashy, and it really is kind of a neat feature. All right, so one of the things that people are probably going to be interested in with this phone, because it's got a Snapdragon 675 in it. It's not an 8 series. It's not a top-of-the-line performance phone, but the 675 is no slouch. You can play pretty much whatever you want. I downloaded 3 games on here. I got the Call of Duty game, I got PUBG, and I got Fortnite. And I've got some gameplay here you can see from all 3 of them. As you can see, they run perfectly fine. Yeah, you may not be able to run it on the highest settings. These are the default settings as soon as I pulled the games up. Call of Duty, you can see it runs like a champ. No problems with Call of Duty whatsoever. I was actually having a pretty good game. Whether it was bots or not, who knows? I don't really care. But Call of Duty was going good. PUBG works perfectly fine. You can see it looks pretty decent here. Runs nice and smooth. And then if you roll over into Fortnite, Fortnite was probably the weakest of all 3 of them. It still ran. It ran perfectly fine. I mean, you can see here I didn't really have any problems with it. The only issue I ran into, and this may be a pre-production thing, or if you go turn off the vibration somehow, anytime I would shoot the gun, it would give me like this long vibration thing, and it would just, the phone would keep vibrating. I'm not sure what it was, but then it would go away, and then I would start shooting somebody, and then it would come back. So I don't know if there's some sort of a setting in there you can turn off, but just don't be surprised if you need to disable something when that pops up if you try to play Fortnite. But Fortnite, totally playable, didn't have any problems with it. It's not as fast as if you run like a top-of-the-line $1,000 smartphone, but it runs perfectly fine, and you can play Fortnite on here, so pretty cool. All right, so that's all I've got on my review of the TCL 10 Pro. Really like it. $449, you can't go wrong. I mean, is it the catch-all, end-all, be-all phone of all times? No, but in the mid-tier sector, with what they bring to the table, with the display, with the responsiveness, with the camera setup, the battery life, it's pretty much everything that you could really ask for a normal consumer, and then even people who are budget conscious, or you just want something that looks great, that you can enjoy, no special frills, no $800,000, $900,000 price point. You got it right here. And yeah, it doesn't have everything in the kitchen sink. I mean, it doesn't have the IP68 dust and water resistance, which keep it away from the water. Ta-da, problem solved. You don't have wireless charging, which I don't really even like to use anyway. If you may, I mean, some people do like wireless charging, but it's not a deal breaker for me, especially at $450. It doesn't have band 71 LTE. I wish it did, so you could get the expanded range and coverage for like T-Mobile and some of the emerging market areas. But for most people, this is going to be a really good phone that you're going to enjoy. It's going to last. You're going to be able to play games on it. You're going to be able to watch your videos. You're going to be able to use social media. You can use it for whatever you want, take great pictures, and you're not missing out on anything, really. I mean, the core functionality of this device is solid, and I like it a lot, especially if you can get your hands on the green model. Now, that's all I've got on my review. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. Like I said in the beginning, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell so you can get updates on the latest greatest. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.